In his now typical mob boss manner, Trump has continued to demand protection money from major U.S. law firms. If the law firm does not submit to Trump's extortion efforts, and that is precisely what he is doing, our dear leader will cripple the law firm's business by barring the law firm's lawyers from federal buildings, which would include all federal courts, by preventing any government agency from hiring a past, present, or future employee of the firm, firing the law firm from any existing representation, and requiring all federal contractors to identify whether they have hired the law firm or any of its lawyers, and a crystal clear threat that the federal contractor will be punished by Trump for hiring or continuing to use the law firm. The alleged transgressions cited by Trump in these executive orders, and he's now targeted 6 of the major U.S. law firms, center mostly around the law firm hiring at one time in the past a lawyer that Trump does not like, representing someone that Trump does not like, winning a case against Trump, which is a surefire way to get into his extortion efforts, or representing a client whose calls that Trump does not like. The fact that these orders punish people for exercising well-established First, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment constitutional rights are just irrelevant in Trump's America, and probably always will be, unfortunately. The current extortion rate is $100 million of free legal advice to whomever Trump designates and to end any DEI program. This is what the law firm of Skadden, Arps, etc., agreed to pay rather than to fight Trump. It's just another pathetically weak law firm like Paul Weiss, and that is being extremely generous in the description to both of those firms who have permanently damaged their reputations. Who would want to hire a bunch of wimp lawyers? 3 other law firms are fighting Trump in courts and are refusing to succumb to Trump's extortion efforts. I previously mentioned Jenner and Block and Perkins Cole. Another firm, WilmerHale, who hired 3 lawyers connected with the Mueller investigation, which is the reason they were targeted by Trump, has filed a lawsuit claiming that Trump's actions are unconstitutional. All 3 firms are fighting for the bedrock constitutional rights and the rule of law, and have received quickly temporary restraining orders based on Trump's deliberate and flagrant violations of the First Amendment, free speech rights, the Due Process Clause of the Fifth Amendment, and the Sixth Amendment right to counsel of one's choosing. All bedrock constitutional rights in the Constitution, but unfortunately not in Trump's America. And what about Trump's deliberate and flagrant violations of constitutional rights? Worse, in my opinion, is that they are not done to further some noble purpose, as he falsely claims, but solely to satisfy his unquenchable thirst to exact personal vengeance. And that is transparent to anyone with a functioning brain can see simply by reading the executive orders. Those firms need to be congratulated for defending the rule of law and the U.S. Constitution that are constantly under attack now by Trump and his party. Jenner and Block filed their lawsuit on March 28th, and it is available for review, as are the other complaints filed by other law firms for viewing on the internet. I'm just going to read from a passage from that complaint, and this sums up the problem succinctly, although it's several sentences I'm about to read. Like the prior executive orders targeting law firms, the order sanctions Jenner for its representation of clients in cases adverse to the government for its prior association with an individual who has not worked at the firm in 4 years but has been critical of the president, and for its hiring practices. Each of the grounds standing alone is a constitutionally impermissible basis to target Jenner. The order violates the First Amendment by targeting Jenner for its protected speech, by discriminating based on viewpoint, by seeking to prevent Jenner from petitioning the government on behalf of its clients, of itself and its clients, and by leveraging government controls to suppress protected speech and association. The order violates the Due Process Clause of the Fifth Amendment by impairing the ability of Jenner and his attorneys to practice law, by creating a list of disfavored firms that is anathema to our scheme of ordered liberty, and by creating a vague set of prohibitions that invite arbitrary enforcement. The order violates the right to counsel under the Sixth Amendment by impairing the firm's ability to represent its clients in connection with government-facing work, including criminal matters, and by undermining the attorney-client relationship and client's right to counsel of their choice. This is a very serious matter. It's not given the seriousness that it deserves in the mainstream media. The 6 Republican Supreme Court justices and the Republican District Court Judge Aileen Cannon have unleashed Trump by failing to do their constitutional duties as judges. It remains to be seen whether the 6 Republican justices will restrain Trump's now constant violation of the Constitution and statutes. While the 6 Republican justices, in my opinion, are likely to protect Trump as much as possible by expanding the powers of the imperial presidency, turning the president into a king, they may draw the line with Trump's extortion of major law firms in violation of several constitutional rights. Trump is risking a stinging rebuke from the reactionary Republican justices on the Supreme Court that could end up being a count in a third impeachment resolution in the House, assuming the Democrats regain control in 2026. If the Republican justices allow Trump to extort law firms as he has been doing, then you can stick a fork in the Constitution and laws, and none of those, neither the Constitution nor any law, will have any restraint on the exercise of dictatorial powers by a president. The fascists would have won. The Supreme Court immunity decision undermines the Constitution by providing a clear path for an authoritarian president like Trump to seize even more power, particularly when the legislative branch is more reminiscent of the Roman Senate in Nero's time than a co-equal branch of the government with responsibilities to the Constitution and the rule of law. All of the House and Senate Republicans are now complicit and accessories to Trump's authoritarian actions through both their silence and failure to act. I pointed out in a recent video that they refused to vote on whether or not they approved Trump's tariff increases. King George had more restraints on his power in the 1770s by the English Parliament than Trump does now with his minions in Congress.